Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Investing Bros live show. You might have thought I should have had some high energy there, but it is a day we got a lot to talk about. Crypto is down, and we're sitting right on a very key level of support, right around 60,000. Yes, we have a couple of wicks down slightly below it, but as a whole, it does look like the bulls are slightly defending that 60,000. What do you need to be looking at in the future to determine A, where you should be buying Bitcoin, but also B, we're going to somewhat reference the levels that you might need to be watching for saying, hey, if we hit this, that could mean the bull market is in jeopardy. We're also going to be talking about some news coming to ChainLink. It's one of the favorite tokens here at the Investing Bros channel. However, there's not so great news. Is this all just a bunch of FUD trying to suppress price? Or is there any credit to the details? We're going to discuss that and a whole lot more. So do not go anywhere. Tune in for the entire show. Just smash the like button right now. It's going to be a great one. Cannot wait for it. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss a single piece of content that we put out. But first, before we get into all those details, we got an intro to play. T-Shroom, let's roll it. What is going on? T-Shroom, how are you doing today?
Better than I deserve, Tim. Better than I deserve.
You know, there was a comment on Saturday's video. We had a special edition update to our beginner-friendly crypto portfolio. If you're new, I highly recommend going back and giving that stream a watch. But someone said in the comment sections, T-Shroom, they pointed out that I'm always asking you how you're doing, and rarely, if ever, do you reciprocate and ask me how I'm doing.
Yeah, no, I'm curious, Tim. How are you doing today?
I thought you were about to say I don't care, which would have probably been funnier. But I'm doing good, T-Shroom. I'm doing actually very, very good. I'm not going to lie. Watching the prices, you know, it's one thing to talk about that $60,000 level of support and say a week ago, hey, guys, don't worry. We could probably drop to 60,000. It's another thing when you rush down to it. I would be lying to you guys if I didn't tell you there's a little bit in my stomach. It's like, oh, gosh, that went fast. That's not really what we wanted. But here's the thing, guys. We're going to continue to look at the data. We're going to take emotion out of our analysis. We will give you opinions. We'll give you feedback. We'll give you historical precedents for what things do based off the past. But as a whole, that is one of the things that sets us apart is we do the absolute best we can to remove emotion from the equation. We look at statistics. We look at charts. We look at sentiment. And we look at historical analysis to try to help you best understand where's the best place to hold your money. Is it in crypto? Is it in US dollars? Is it in the stock market? Is it in a pillow underneath your mattress? Rarely has that been the case, but there are days here and there where I do think that might be the best place. T-Shirt, anything you got for the people before we jump in and open up the markets this afternoon? Okay, let's pause right there. This show's already gotten off to a weird start. It is not morning. Maybe some of you guys this morning. Anything you would say to them this afternoon before we jump into those markets?
Yeah, just say stay hydrated, guys. If you're not staying hydrated, You're not staying smart. And if you're not staying smart, you're not trading smart. So stay hydrated, trade smart. Look at that. And I've got mine as well right here, my mystery black cup.
That's a great reminder. Great reminder. Speaking of water, some of you might drink sparkling water. You know what's in sparkling water, T-Shroom?
Sparkles.
Bubbles. And now we're going to check out the crypto bubbles.
Oh, I see what you did there.
There we go. All right. Let's go ahead. Oh, we got a membership from Crux of Crypto message here. BTC with millions of dollars one day. Are we tripping about $1,000 pullbacks? Zoom out. Cannot agree with you more, Crux. We will do that here in just a second, though. Got some big bubbles. We got some big red ones. We got some big green ones. Well, somewhat big green ones. Ordi, though, does look like our biggest loser of the day. 13% bloodbath there. BCH, 9.3. GNO, 10%. Notcoin, didn't mean to click on you. Notcoin is down 8%. Maker's down 8%. Litecoin, nearly 8%. Over here, we got Uniswap. Had a great discussion about Uniswap on Saturday's show. Again, one more reason to go take a look at it. It's down 10%. Sheeb is down 6%. Look at this, T-Shroom. This is important, and I'm going to reference this later. How often do we see Bitcoin be one of the larger bubbles of the percentage movements in the top 100? That, whether you think it does or not, actually screams a lot, and it's going to come up in my later analysis. With that said, though, it's not all red right here, which is very strange, as we're seeing prices on a lot of coins that we have not seen in months, plural. We do have some green coins here. We have Lido is up, but some fan favorites here at the Investing Bros. Injective is up almost 6%. Render's up almost 4%. Ondo is up almost 3%. Tia is up 4%. And some others, you have FET is up. Aave, Whiff.
Come on, Tim.
Leo, Phantom is up. Now, I'm not going to say I'm a personal biggest fan of Phantom, but I do know there's people in the Bros community that are big on Phantom. But another one, Near over here, up 2.5%. So why is it? Why is it on a day that is having a lot of people really worrying a lot about their portfolio? Why is it such a mixed bag? We're going to talk about that here in just a second. Let's take a look at the top 10 as a whole, and we're going to continue to see how this kind of fleshes out. Bitcoin, like we said, currently sitting around 60,400. It has been as low as about 59. I think, did it get into the 700s? We'll take a look here in a second. Down almost 6% in the last 24 hours. Check this out. How often do we get something like this? Bitcoin down almost 6. Ethereum taking a nice little bath, but only 4.8 compared to Bitcoin's. BNB is down 3.8, Solana only 1.6, XRP only 2%, Toncoin only 3%, Dogecoin only 4.8, Cardano only 3.5, and then you have Tron only down 0.2. Guess what, guys? With the exception of SHIB, we have to go to coin number 12, right behind my head. We have to get all the way to coin number 12 before we see a coin that has a larger red day than Bitcoin. That speaks massive, massive volumes about what we're kind of seeing happen right now. But let's get into the charts and talk about those details. Let me start off. I kind of flirted with this a lot. I keep saying it. I want you guys to actually realize I cannot predict, because I don't have a crystal ball, where the exact bottom of this movement is going. However, the fact that it is mostly Bitcoin bleeding, I want you guys to understand Bitcoin astronomically larger in market cap than any other crypto out there, meaning it still has, if you were to just take Bitcoin versus every other altcoin put together, the dominance after this big bleed today is still sitting above 50%. That to me is a massive, massive move, because the altcoins really, even though they're heading down, the altcoins aren't discovering these recent lows. The altcoins really are sitting closer at their max loss potential. Bitcoin is making one more good move. And I'll tell you this, guys, I cannot tell you if 60K is the wall or the dam that won't break. I think there's ideas and potential around 57 that could be interesting. And of course, as we've been talking about on the show for the last little bit, we also have this potential of 55K that could be coming in. Either way, I want you guys to know, whether we stop at 60, 57, or 55, these are all still price actions that would mark extremely bullish price action coming for Bitcoin. And the analogy I want you guys to think about and have in the back of your mind about crypto markets right now, I want you to close your eyes and pretend you're on a great beach somewhere. Not a beach that's filled with a bunch of sharks like Florida right now, but a beach that's just beautiful. The sun's not too hot, but it's out there and it's glistening on your skin. But you're watching the waves and you start to notice that the water line is getting sucked out to sea and more sand is being revealed. If that was happening to you, what does that indicate is about to happen? Does that mean that the sea is going away, is evaporating? No. The ocean is being sucked out before a much larger wave is going to come crashing to shore, probably coming higher up the beach line, right? If you've been to a beach, you've seen that happen. I want you to take that thought and now apply it to the world of crypto. This is what often happens during mid-bull markets, is there's a period of time. We're happening it right now, but let's go back into history of what we've seen in previous bull and bear markets. There's a part of time throughout bull markets where you have massive pullbacks or even just decent sized pullbacks that make people believe that the bull market is over, only to see a much larger second leg, third leg, fourth leg on Bitcoin continue to go to the upside. It's the exact same way for altcoins. Bull markets do not have just straight up and to the right formations. A lot of times you can see bigger pullbacks, like in this case back here a little bit after the halving event. We saw Ethereum drop 36% back in 2020. Does that mean the bull market's over? Well, heck no. We zoom out and we look at it like this. That was only the beginning. But the point still stands that a lot of people, when you come in and you look at the current chart and you zoom in like this, if we look at it solely like this, you're looking at all of these bearish candles and saying, uh-oh, we're in trouble. You're looking at news and you're seeing things like, let's go to Bitcoin. Where is Bitcoin? Well, it is right here. Boom. You look at news stations, go to Popular Stories, for example, and you just see a lot of negativity. MicroStrategy influences the Bitcoin drop. Mt. Gox hits new Bitcoin. Investors should brace. Bitcoin sliding below 60K. We're going to read some of those articles here in a little bit. My overall point is zoomed in. It's very easy to be suckered into feeling like the world is crashing down. Just like on a beach, if you don't know about how waves work, it's very easy to watch the water go out to ocean and think, uh-oh, what's happening is the water evaporating, only to zoom out and say, oh my goodness, this is simply another leg of a massive bullish market. Until major bearishness comes into space, I'm going to stay affirmed that this is simply the waves getting sucked out before the massive ones crash back down. We still have a whole lot of support in play. And now let's take a look at some of those details. And we'll go back and look at the charts and give you analysis on that as well. But I just wanted you guys to have that picture. A lot of people freaking out today. But there's this thing historically that happens in these situations where these pullbacks mark amazing buying opportunities, not bear markets coming into play. I want you to start off by taking a look here on the daily chart. Even though we are sitting right at the bottom of it, we still have this massive level of an order block right in here, along with the daily take profit sitting in here just a little bit below 61,000, coming down closer to 60,000. Yes, we have a wick down below, and I'm going to talk about that little zone right there in a second. But still, at this point, this order block has not been broken, and it is one that is majorly bullish at this time. Even though, here's another thing, even though we are below this green line at the moment, remember, we are still sitting in a spot where we are setting higher lows and a flat top. This is still a very bullish channel. Ultimately, what we're looking at right here, and we have to wait a couple of more hours to get the answer to this, but I want to see, where does today's and tomorrow's daily candle close? I know that means we have to wait roughly about 28 hours before we get that answer. You guys got to be patient a little bit before you start screaming and running around like chickens with your heads cut off. We need about 28 more hours to cancel out this formation. But as a whole, if this chart, if this candle were to shoot back up and close above 61,600, give or take, above this rising green line, a wick below is what would be determined in the future as a bear trap. I commented this in our VIP trading group a couple of hours ago. This is the key decision point right here, guys. How do the next two candles close? If we can close back up above 61 by tomorrow, when we look back on this, we will say, oh, you guys remember that day back on June 24th when everyone was convinced that Bitcoin was going down, but it ended up being the perfect bottom? That's something we'll look back and say if we can recapture this green line by tomorrow. If we cannot, what are the levels we're looking at down below us? Does canceling out this ascending triangle, this bullish formation, does that cancel out the bull market as a whole? The answer is no. I'm just going to go and get rid of this line for a brief second. We'll get rid of a couple of these lines. These used to be very important. We'll draw them back up later in the future if we need to. But there's some lines on here, some zones that I want you to keep an eye on. The first one, just looking at previous price action in this area over the last couple of months since early March. There is this zone right here between 58,900 and about 59.6 that has worked as lateral support, with the exception of one day back here on May 1st, lateral support for Bitcoin's price. So as long as price bounces in this zone, you guys see it's just a sideways channel where we're bouncing off 59, rejecting off of 72, and this still, when you attach it to a bullish pattern coming into this formation, would still imply prices should go to the upside. Well, so there's that level of support, which again has a lot of other support here as well. The next level I'm keeping an eye on is a zone down here closer to about 57,300. All right, what's going to be happening in this zone? The first thing on the daily chart is this level is still rising, but we have this purple line right here. It's called the 200 daily SMA. You're only going to see it on the daily chart. This is a major level of support for Bitcoin that has not been touched since we crossed it bullishly way back in October of 2023. So we're not quite all the way to a year, but we're getting close to that all the way. It is very normal in bull markets to touch the 200 daily SMA a couple of times. So in reality, this was something that was inevitable to happen at some point in the future before the end of the bull market. How sweet would it be to go ahead and get that touch out of the way right now, and then again, shoot off to the upside? The other important detail about that price level is here on the daily chart, the 7-day liquidation chart. You guys can see here a massive amount of longs that will be liquidated. So right now, we're currently under what we call a long squeeze. A lot of people are bullish. A lot of people probably in heavy leveraged long positions that if the price were to drop right down here below at 58,400, give or take, then we could see, keyword here, we could start to see millions of dollars be liquidated from longs positions, and that momentum does not stop really until closer to where 57,300, give or take. Hence the reason why I kind of put this box here in play. So kind of recapping where we currently are, we currently have a lateral version of support with an order block here closer to 60,000. If that gets lost, we really have some strong support from the 200 SMA and heavy liquidity levels down here at 57.3. But then the other thing that we have here is in play at 55,000. There's a couple things that are happening here. A, if we go to the monthly chart, please don't glitch on me like you sometimes do in the morning streams. There we go. Good. All right. You guys, I saved you from epilepsy the rest of your life. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Monthly liquidity coming in heavily here at 55,000, but also a story that I covered this morning and we've covered a couple of times. June 28th, that's Friday, we have a $6.55 billion options expiry, and the price level of max pain is $55,000. Why is this important? Because a lot of times, the closer you get to options expiries, if you are massively above that price, it gives the whales and long-term holders every excuse in the world to make things interesting and suppress price right back down. A great example of this was this earlier this week on Bitcoin's price. On Friday, we had an options expiry at 66,500. Let me put a line right here where 66,500 is. Did not grab the tool correctly. Let's do it again. Boom. Roughly 65. All right. This was Thursday, right? So we were a couple of days beforehand, we were below the options expiry. Guess what happened a couple of hours before that options expiry would come into play? The bulls made things interesting. They brought price right up to 66.5 and rejected at that level only to move to the downside. Right, so the bears were still in control, but as we got closer to that options expiry, we made things interesting only to be rejected on it once again. That's a more micro scale. That was one where the options were only in, I don't even think they were in the billions. It was something like, maybe it was 1.9 billion or something. Nothing close to what we have here on the longer time frame where we have $6.5 billion option expiry at 55. Watch for them to potentially keep things suppressed / maybe even get closer to it. Worst case scenario, bouncing off it, only to then stay above 55,000 on Friday's options expiry and shoot price back to the upside. This is all a part of the reason why price could stay suppressed in this timeline. Now, we're going to move on to topics here of stories. We can go off my chart here for a second here, T-Shirt Room. We can do more Q&A at the end of the show if you guys want to go more in depth and see the oscillators and see the different time frames. At this point, though, there's a lot of FUD being pumped into the market when it comes to sentiment. And I want T-Shroom, I discussed these stories a little bit this morning, but I want T-Shroom to go in a little bit more in depth on them. And I want to kind of break down for you guys how to treat these stories based off of historical precedents. The biggest one of the day is another Mt. Gox scare. Before we go too much further into the details, T-Shroom, can you, for anyone who might be newer to crypto and learning all about what's happening, could you recap why is Mt. Gox something people should know about, and why does it keep coming up every couple of months trying to scare people?
Yeah, well, Mt. Gox is a defunct Bitcoin exchange, and essentially assets were stolen, right, from their clients of that exchange in 2024 hack and 2014 hack. And so, for basically since then, they've been in court proceedings, and, there's been like a lot of bureaucratic process, but it was always assumed that at some point, some percentage of the funds would be returned to the clients, right? And so that is looking to be coming to a conclusion here in July. That's what the date is, at least. And the market has known about this for about as long as Bitcoin's been around. Obviously, Mt. Gox was one of the first major exchanges. Wasn't the first, but one of the first. And nothing happened with Bitcoin's blockchain. Nothing was hacked there. The exchange software was hacked, right? Because it's not on blockchain. It's a centralized exchange, which is a great reason to sign up for our 10% off the Arculus Cold Wallet there, where you can store your crypto much more safely than on an exchange. So that's kind of the backstory here, Tim. And there's no real development here. We got this knowledge that they would be returning the funds in July. The development is just that it's coming up. That's coming up. So the FUD is starting now.
Yeah. So what are the details here? What should people know about this sale of Mt. Gox? Or sorry, what's the correct word here? They're refunding victims. They're what's happening here? What's the weight of the story that's making people so bearish?
Yeah. Well, it says it right here under the headline. The defunct crypto exchange is supposed to return 140,000 Bitcoin to the victims of the 2014 hack, which is, that's a decent chunk of change. That's like just around $10 billion worth, I believe. So yeah, $15 billion at current prices was 740 Bitcoin. So the question though that lingers is, when exactly in July is this going to be returned, and is it going to be returned in crypto, or is it going to be returned in fiat? And who's going to be doing the selling? If there is going to be selling, is that selling a taxable event, right? Because that would be a de-incentivization for those who had it, which it had it on Mt. Gox. Then it'd be a disincentive for them to sell, because then they'd have to pay a bunch in taxes. Sistine Research went ahead and reposted this post from Marty Party that said Mt. Gox users will be refunded the exact amount of Bitcoin they lost during the hack. Instead, under Japanese bankruptcy law, the value of creditors' claims is capped at what they were worth back in 2014, which is approximately $483 per Bitcoin. This means that users will receive compensation based on the value of their holdings at the time of the hack, rather than the current value of the Bitcoin or the exact number of Bitcoins they lost. So this is not necessarily true, right? This is being asked to be confirmed. The comments in this seem to indicate that it's not true, right? But if this is true, this is extremely bullish.
Go back to that comment. Someone said, "Not true. I got paid something."
Yeah,
back up a little higher. Yeah. Not true. I got paid 20% of my Bitcoin. Paid in Bitcoin. Same for okay.
Yeah, it's some anonymous account, right? So who knows if they're just they're whatever they're saying may not be true. If it is true, then that's extremely bullish. Why? Because then less Bitcoin is going to be sold onto the market. If it isn't true, then we're right back where we started. But the reality is, Tim, is that this is Bitcoin we're talking about, right? We're not talking about some altcoin. Just because a bunch of locked up Bitcoin is going to be sold on the market, and it's not going to be 100% of it because of those tax disincentives, and some people who get it back, they're going to want to just hold Bitcoin. There's also the potential that the Bitcoin has already been sold and they're just returning fiat, right? So that's also a possibility. At this point in time, it's kind of hard to say exactly how it's gonna shake out some of these variables. There are some media outlets that are reporting what some of these variables are. We're just not going to really know until it's done.
Yeah, and I think this is the thing. We don't know the exact details, but we saw some things kind of referenced there. There's one thought that, let's pretend you had one Bitcoin in Mt. Gox and you're going to refund. The first thought is saying we're going to follow the Japanese kind of rule of law here, and they're going to give you back $486 or $486 worth of Bitcoin, which would be very little. This guy's saying, oh, no, that's not true. I got 20%. Well, 20% is better than $486. We're still talking about roughly, again, let's say it was today, $6,000. Is that right? No, that would be a little bit higher. That would be $12,000. $12,000. Hey, that's better than $484, but it's still nothing anywhere close to the current price of Bitcoin being at $60,000. Here's the other thing about that concept, and I could be wrong here. But do we honestly believe Uncle Sam is not going to say, all right, when you had that one Bitcoin worth 486 and now we're giving you 12,000, we're not going to tax you. If you go to sell this, we're going to tax you on at least those long-term capital gains. Uncle Sam's going to get his. We know that. There's a lot of things in this world we don't know. What we do know is death and taxes are a for sure thing. Yeah. So there is this concept. A couple things are happening here, T-Shroom. Share my screen. I'm going to give you 2 reasons why I'm actually low-key bullish on this story.
Go for it.
Well, the first one is actually a Twitter post responded. Now, a little bit of my screen is being blocked here. But there's one date here that isn't necessarily as bullish as the others. It's the one that you really can't see. But someone posted the different timelines. We've got an article like this before. November 16th of 2017. August 31st of 2022. This one up here is November 16th of 2021. So that was a case where we actually were close to, if not right about to reverse and hit the top of the 2021 bull market. But the other time was November 22nd, 2023. I'm not even going to have to go back and show you guys. Go back for yourself. Screenshot this. Look at the dates. These 3 for sure. I do want to take a look at November 16th, 2021. But these times for sure, the Bitcoin price actually bottomed out on a local move and would go on to have a decent little rally. Even November 16th, 2021. Let's see what happened November 16th. November 16th would have been a couple of days after the top, and we would go on to fall in price. So of those examples, we had just topped off the top of the bull market and we began the bear market. All of the other ones, though, we're talking about, again, it was February of 2022. We had August 31st of 2022 as well, which is way down here, right in 31st. It's going to be right in here, right before we had another big gain. And of course, the one way back in 2017, the price was close to the top of the market, but would go on to rally again a big percentage here. In fact, that actually was a very big one, probably upwards of, if I can grab this correctly, 200%. That's a 3x in price. The point stands is that this is not the first time that we have heard that they are going to give back and pay back the Mt. Gox people. But what it is that every time this happened before, it's actually been extremely bullish. But the other one, and you can go off my screen now, T-Shroom, is as T-Shroom kind of got into, there actually probably would be more of an incentive for people being paid back to continue to hold their Bitcoin. I mean, let's just think about this. Anyone who lost money at Mt. Gox back in 2014 was in Bitcoin early enough to know this has turned into something special. So I'm telling you right now, if I had owned, which I did not own Bitcoin back in 2014, but if I had owned Bitcoin back in 2014, I would have been majorly bummed if I had lost a couple Bitcoin, maybe a couple $1,000. I would have been devastated. But you're telling me that I haven't been following what Bitcoin's doing this whole time, realizing, man, I got to keep investing in this. And now I have the opportunity to be paid more Bitcoin, even if it's only $486 per coin. Is my previous relationship with crypto telling me to sell or to hold that bad boy? If you've been around since 2014, you are probably a whale, if not at least a long-term holder. And long-term holders know what newer holders do not understand is that Bitcoin might be volatile. It goes up, it goes down, but long-term, the price goes up and to the right, nonstop. Anyone who thinks that this, what was the total number of Bitcoins being given back? It was like a couple 100,000.
Well, so that's a good question, Tim. And it really is an up for debate question because Mt. Gox is really only issuing statements that they're just going to do it, right? Sorry, pardon all these ads for random stuff, but this is an important paragraph here. Fun. In May, the exchange moved around 140,000 Bitcoin worth around $9 billion from cold wallets to an unknown address. So the name, and this is why we're even covering it today, right? Because Investing Bros, we see Mt. Gox headlines, we see China ban headlines, we see America going to sell its Bitcoin. Those headlines come up all the time. The reason why this is actually something that Investing Bros we're covering here today is because there's been actual wallet movement, right? They're actually doing something. Now, they could potentially not give it to the creditors, but obviously that would get them into deeper trouble with the Japanese government, but this is the number, 9 billion, 140K Bitcoin, and we're talking about it because there's wallet movement.
My overall point here, again, great point there, but I'm saying if you think, and this is how some people are treating this, if you think that $9 billion of Bitcoin is about to be sold because it's going back to long-term holders, you're kidding yourself. I'm not saying none. I think there will be some people who take it and say, I was tired of Bitcoin back then. I want out now. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say the majority of people getting Bitcoin back from Mt. Gox are long-term holders already, and they understand, wow, even though it's not as much as I wanted, I just got more Bitcoin added to my stash, more to sit there and hold long term. Now, we're going to kind of wrap it up here on Bitcoin for a second. We're going to get into some ChainLink discussion, another fan favorite here. And I'm going to preface this by saying, guys, we like to talk positively about ChainLink. We like ChainLink. I got a big bag of ChainLink. But I'm going to be honest with you. When there's something that's not good, I'm going to tell you it's not good, and we're going to talk about what that could mean. But before we get there, I did want to give a special shout out to the sponsor of today's show, and that is Arculus Cold Wallet. Now, through all this craziness, there's one thing you can do to make sure you protect it. Don't put your money in Mt. Gox. Don't put the majority of your money in centralized exchanges. If you want to hold and be a long-term crypto user, familiarize yourself with the word cold wallet. And then when you talk about cold wallets, realize, man, you want one that's easy to get in and out of and yet very secure. And Arculus fits the bill. It's a card that you can store, but there are 3 different factors of security. So even let's say you lose your phone or you lose your card, people still cannot get in and steal your crypto. This is the number one easiest / most secure cold wallet in crypto. When you use the code down below, BROZ10, BROZ10, you get 10% off. If you do not have one already, I heavily recommend you guys have one. I have one, and it is the best thing I've ever had. I used to have others, and I've literally thrown those away because Arculus takes the cake with all of them. Go sign up for one today. T-Shroom, let's transition. Before we get into the charts, I want to do charts here in a second. Let's talk about some stuff that's not going well with ChainLink. Mostly some whale movements that are confusing a lot of holders. What's going on with ChainLink right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Alex Green just gave 5 memberships, so that's super dope. Thank you so much, Alex. Alex Green.
Now, speaking of that, we'll take a quick second. We'll get to ChainLink here in a second. There were 2 super chats we missed earlier. Let's scroll up and get them. The first one from Morgan Powell. Thank you, Morgan, for the $2. Said, do you bros have any take on Superverse and its price? I don't. T-Shroom, do you?
It sounds super.
Sorry about that, Morgan. No thought there. But thank you so much for the donation. GD says political meme coins will be big, FJB and MAGA. I think so, too. I think that meme coins have seasons. And when there's a good season for it, especially those as we enter into the election season here in the United States, here's what I'll say to you guys. Price action of those meme coins probably will go up. But when will that price action stop and come back down? That's the hard part. I have no idea. So if you do end up investing / trading meme coins, please do so responsibly and take profits. Don't take the perfect top. Take profits along the way. Make sure you do not lose more money than you spend on them. That's my best advice for you guys looking for meme coin purchases. All right, T-Shroom, let's get into ChainLink news. What's happening right now?
Absolutely. Well, I've got 2 headlines here. One's sour, one's sweet. Tell me what you think this one is. ChainLink community confused by whale activity details. Since mid-June, this activity of whales accounts holding Link tokens skyrocketed. Some Link community enthusiasts noticed that largest holders might be taking profits before the next dump of the Link price. So like I said, a little bit of salty, a little bit of sweet there. An intriguing jump in whale activity was registered by automated tracking services on Friday, June 21st. As covered by you today previously, almost 19 million Link tokens were sent to exchange. The other headline here, Tim, is that ChainLink unlocks 21 million Link tokens, transfers majority to Binance. So unlocks and whales selling, but at a time where whales have accumulated Link at a very high rate, it gives a little bit of bullish, a little bit of bearish. Where do you shake out on this one, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, so here's what I'll say. I'm going to say it on the flip side. If we had a bunch of whales moving money off exchanges, I'm going to say, hey, guys, there's no guarantee of this, but that should be a bullish move. In this case, with whales moving money onto exchange, again, it didn't specify the exact date that they started doing that. It implied things in June. But the truth is, I don't know if this is a lagging article, meaning that we have fallen back on ChainLink heavily because of this, or if it means we have a little further to go. I here have said I would not be surprised for ChainLink to get below $13. If you come over here and take a look at the chart, we actually did that this morning. Now we are back above. It looks like we're going to try to close the daily candle back up over 13, but the wick on ChainLink today came all the way down to about $12.68. I believe this is something we actually tracked over on High Block as well. Give me just 1 second, and we'll take a look at what the 1 month and the daily chart said on here as well. Yeah, you can see here now. It's going to be more clear on the 7 day. So you can see it on the monthly, but I'm assuming the 7 days is going to say it clearer. There we go. I told you guys there was a heavy amount of longs that would be liquidated if we dropped down here below, I think I said below 1274. Sure enough, guess what, guys? If you know numbers, 1258 is below 1274. We have just taken out all of these liquidations. But look what happened right after we cleared them all. We jumped back to the upside. And now there's no major longs to be liquidated below us. Almost everything, every bit of pressure is to the upside. It's that way on the 7 day. It's like that on the monthly chart here as well, where again, we've taken out everything. And now traders are starting to look to the upside and saying, wow, 16 looks interesting. 17 looks interesting. But I'll tell you what really looks interesting. 1933, we got some bright yellow shorts way up there. There's all the incentive in the world to go to the upside. Here on ChainLink, we're sitting on a very strong order block and the daily take profit for our sell order. So while I think that there's not a guarantee that price is done, in the same way I think Bitcoin's $60,000 level is strong, but it could go lower. I think that ChainLink, you have an argument to be made right here on $13 is a strong level of support. But if it gets lost, we easily, let's turn off some of these indicators right here. We easily could fall back down to levels we were just at here a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, down back around $12 where we will have a lot more support here as well. So at the end of the day, these stories we're reading are bearish. I'm not going to tell you they're not bearish. Now, has their full bearishness already played out? Is there a little more to come? The good news for all of our ChainLink holders is this is what we call short-term bearish news, meaning when you zoom in on the markets, you can expect price to go down. When you zoom back out, though, ChainLink still, from a sentiment, news, and chart perspective, still has massive reasons to be bullish. So we changed the word here, crash, to opportunity. Has ChainLink fallen dramatically in the last couple of weeks? Yes, it has. Pessimists say it's crashing. Opportunists say that's just another opportunity to purchase cheap ChainLink before it moves to the upside. With that said, though, I do want, before I am going to be overwhelmingly bullish on ChainLink in the shorter term, I do want to see a lot of signals start to flip and go back in the bullish way. Right now, we're still seeing negative money flow. We're still seeing lower levels come in on a lot of our oscillators. So for that reason, I'm not ready to declare the ChainLink bottom in just yet. But again, longer time frames, I'm still looking and seeing all the explosiveness we have seen over the last year and some change. I still have ChainLink in the short term, in the intermediate term, getting back up to new highs. And again, if it reaches its full potential, it's crazy. People are going to think I'm crazy here. Altcoin season doesn't start till December of 2024. I still am looking at 2025 being a potential $500 to $700 price prediction for ChainLink. I will update it and change that if something comes into the play that would make that a false statement. But for now, I don't look at the small time frames and worry about the long term. I still am majorly bullish here on ChainLink, and nothing has changed for anyone else to kind of change that mind either.
In order to take advantage of these gains, you saw that's a big percentage gain. That's generational wealth that could potentially be gained there in ChainLink. Right? In order to take advantage of that, you have to realize, though, that risk management is just as important as the bravery that it takes to buy crypto. Right? If you're buying crypto with more than you can afford to lose, you have already lost, because you're going to have to sell that in order to pay rent, in order to pay for food, in order to get new tires for your car to go to work. Do not bet the house on this. It's not worth it, because you're going to lose. We have been through multiple bull and bear markets. We've seen this happen. People have left our community because they got burned. They lost a lot. So in the same way that a lot of people stand to gain quite a bit through crypto, and millionaires have been made, right, through crypto, but they did not mismanage their risk. They prioritized risk management as much as they prioritized the bravery that it takes to keep DCAing when price go down, right? It's very, very important.
Yeah, I see people here commenting. Let's read some chat here before we transition. We're going to do some Q&A. We'll have a Factoid of the day here in a second. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you smash the like button. And again, at this point, you've seen enough. You can hit subscribe, and so you don't miss a single piece of content we put out. A couple of people asking here, and it must be newer viewers. Safaf saying 500 Link, really? Wow. Patrick Bateman saying Link is not going to $500. Lots of laughy faces. Here's the thing. I will say this is a price prediction. When I made my price prediction for $500 to $700 for ChainLink, it is what we call a speculative price prediction, meaning there's a lot of things and factors that go into that prediction, and therefore a lot of factors that could prevent it from happening. However, whether you think 500 is in play for this bull market or maybe a little lower, those of you who understand where crypto is going and understand the coins that will have the greatest bull markets in this bull market will know that ChainLink, despite recent price action, is going to explode very highly to the upside. This is the institutional bull market. If you're newer here, maybe you haven't heard me talk about it. We have never seen the institutions playing a major role like they are doing so already in this bull market. It's one of the reasons why Bitcoin hit a new all-time high before the halving event for the first time in its history. It's another reason why we've seen a lot of altcoins that are friendly to the institutional page have runs in this level of the bull market they've never seen before. There have been so many this is a first opportunities in this bull market, and the reason for that is because of the money flowing in from institutions. Whereas in the past, we've always seen institutions FUD or suppress the price of cryptocurrency. So it's something that we're going to go from, we already have seen in past bull markets, crazy explosive movements in altcoins. But if you find the right ones that have the right relationships with the right institutions, you're going to look at those as your biggest money makers. And there are no altcoins. There are some altcoins in there that I think could have higher X's than ChainLink. I think ChainLink's sitting in a camp of 30 to 40X left in the bull market. There's other altcoins I think potentially could do closer to 50, maybe even 100. But I don't think there's another altcoin out there, save for Ethereum, that will make a larger market cap jump than ChainLink. And ChainLink's market cap at its current ranking of number 14 is extremely, extremely low, sitting at only $8 billion. This is a coin that I think by the time all of this is said and done could be sitting at or over $400 billion in market cap. Why? Because it's partnering with some of the most important institutions, not only here in the United States, but worldwide, to serve this planet of transitioning from Web 2 to Web 3. That's a precedence of bullish sentiment that plays into the speculative predictions that it should be one of the top cryptocurrencies. If you want to know more about it, I've kind of given you a lot here, but I have a price prediction on the channel. Go check it out. Our ChainLink price prediction of 2025. Whether you agree with my number or not, listen to the arguments I make before you make your decision, and you might find yourself being a little more bullish on ChainLink, just like I am. Right there, yeah, T-Shroom has it right there. Massive ChainLink price prediction 2025. I break for you guys 4 assumptions that if they come into existence, we will see massive movements in ChainLink. Rydell Sosa says, Tim, the chart is not even showing that Link can get to $30. I don't even know, what does that mean? I don't know how you make the determination that it can't get to $30 simply because we've rejected recently. That's called a bull market, friends.
Maybe
price
he
goes
means
up,
like
price goes down.
Maybe the chart like literally talks to him like Moses.
True.
You know, like the the burning bush talked to Moses and said, ChainLink will not reach more than $30 per coin.
Maybe. But I would say right now, and I'm listen, everyone's opinion is very valid. I'm glad that you bring that up. What I would say is go back and look at not only ChainLink's history of how price action moves in bull markets, but look at the altcoin space as a whole. Look at Bitcoin. Come back to me after looking at historical analysis and tell me there aren't times where it does look like altcoin seasons are dead and gone. There's this thing in the 4-year cycle that goes from Bitcoin being the most dominant coin into Ethereum being the most dominant coin, and then it transitioned into a true alt season where Bitcoin dominance plummets, Ethereum dominance plummets. That in the 4-year cycle should not be in play until December of 2024. So up until December of 2024, we've actually seen altcoins. I don't think anyone's going to do this, but we have seen altcoins in previous bull markets this time in the market actually go down close to, if set, new lows for the bear market, while Bitcoin continues to goes up and the right. My point is, I'm not saying the ChainLink's going to do that or any altcoin's going to do that. My point is, it's not altcoin season. So to make a judgment about the future of altcoins when we are still 5 to 6 months away from when their real explosiveness starts, I think it's a little too early. It's a little, you're going to be fooling yourself to try to make a prediction now simply based off the charts with that 4-year cycle.
I think Redline said it pretty well here. I don't think institutions are going to pile in this cycle like a bunch of FOMO and retailers. The institutions will play the slow manipulation game and shake retail paper hands out before load up. That's pretty much what we're saying. That's pretty true. Yeah. This is the cycle of the institutions, but make no mistake, institutions are not retail. And by the way, if you're new to investing, when we say retail, that's kind of the opposite of institutions. Retail is you and me. It's our personal Coinbase account or Robinhood or BloFin account. It's you and me. It's not somebody at Morgan Stanley buying and selling the Bitcoin ETF on behalf of 500 hyper wealthy investors. That's the difference. Institutional is somebody managing other people's money. Retail is me buying and selling with my wealth. Mm-hmm. So that's a good little thing. And Tim, you mentioned the path to alt season is this what this graphic is. Do yourself a favor, screenshot this, zoom in on it, read it, know it, love it. Is this bull cycle going to follow this to a T? No. Right? But what you'll notice there's no dates on this cycle. This is all English language describing the movements of the cycle. One thing that's not on here that we have seen completely be completely saturated in the beginning of this cycle is meme coin. The meme coin Precambrian explosion is not predicted by this path to altcoin season. Usually meme coins come after altcoins. Altcoin season in the very end of the bull market. Well, Tim, we've got a factoid of the day. We've also got an event in Nashville that Tim and I are very excited for. We've been moving some dates around to make that happen, and it's going to be a lot of fun. People, if you guys are interested, you can go down into the description of this video, and you can sign up to go and get your tickets for the big event there. Tim, do you have a graphic?
Yeah,
there you do.
I have it put up here. Yeah, Nashville, July 25th, 27th. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot of conferences that are fun, but there's nothing in the crypto world that even comes close to the Bitcoin conference. And they're usually in Miami. Some of you might like Miami. I'm not a fan of Miami. I don't love the hot sun and everything else. I'm excited this year to do it in Nashville. T-Shroom and I will be there, so come see us. Go get your tickets today and come to see us later on this month or later on next month over there. Before that, factoid of the day, super chat here from Bubble Paxi Show. What an interesting one. $20. Thank you so much. Said, what do you guys think about Kaspa outperforming Bitcoin? What's your definition of outperforming? If your definition of outperforming is saying, if I put $1,000 into Kaspa or $1,000 into Bitcoin right now, which one here in a year and a half will have more money in the gains? I would say Kaspa by a landslide. But if you said, is Kaspa going to outperform Bitcoin in terms of someday passing it in terms of market cap? No, I do not see a future where that happens. I think Kaspa has a very bright future. It's going to make people a lot of money, especially early adopters. But I don't see Kaspa coming anywhere close to the market cap of Bitcoin, especially anytime soon.
Yeah,
but good question there. We definitely own Kaspa.
My take on that is that altcoins are like the .com bubble. It's like the Web 2.0 initial explosion of innovation that was unlocked by the internet. Bitcoin is the internet itself, right? There's Bitcoin and then there's altcoins. There's Bitcoin and then there's the rest of crypto. Right, Kaspa is going to do a great job of being competitive within the crypto space. But Bitcoin is something different. It is the internet itself in this Web3 revolution that we find ourselves in. And Tim and I very, very closely tracking this revolution. Well, we've got a very juicy factoid of the day, Tim. And today's factoid of the day is brought to you all by Arculus. Go wait another day. Get your crypto on a cold wallet. You won't regret it. You will regret it if you lose it to a centralized exchange, and that sucks. Tim, which Australian city hosts the world-famous Opera House? Is it Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, or Canberra?
Isn't that big building in Sydney the Opera House? Am I wrong about that? I mean, I right off the bat, I bet you there's a lot of great stuff all over Australia, but I'm pretty sure. Well, hold on. It might not be an opera house. But you know what I'm talking about. That you're not going to tell me the answer, but I'm just talking to you just because we're friends.
Thank you, Tim.
In Sydney, Australia, anyone who's seen Nemo knows about this building. because you see it in the cartoon. But maybe that's not an opera house. I might be confusing myself, and that's not an opera house.
Come on, Tim.
I don't know what it would be, though. It's a concert hall of some type. I'm going to say it's Sydney. I think that I don't know. I'm going to say Sydney because I think that is I don't know. I'm really lost on this. I'm going to Sydney.
Is he right?
Is it Perth?
He is.
Okay, good.
Very good. The
I almost second guessed myself.
Opera House. This was their 50th anniversary logo, Tim. You had 50 years to acquaint yourself with the Sydney Opera House, and you failed.
Mission failed. I only had like 30, so
No, you got it. You got it right. You got it right. I'm giving you a hard time. It's a great opera house, and many of you knew the answer to that question. But did you ever know what it looks like on the inside? That's what the Sydney Opera House looks like on the inside. It's pretty neat. Tim, do you like opera?
I don't, and that probably is part of the reason why I did not.
What about opera?
Is the name the Opera House? I knew it was a concert hall of some type.
The Sydney Opera House, Tim.
All right, well that helps. I learned that. I knew it was a building. I just didn't know that was the name of it.
Yep. And they do not allow dogs because of this one dog that barked a lot there. And I actually have a picture of that dog. It's right here.
Oh my God. Okay.
That dog would not stop barking during one of the operas, so they kicked out dogs altogether.
All right, let's go ahead and get into some Q&A here. Thank you for that factoid of the day, T-Shroom. Let's see here. Safaf asked about Arculus. Is Arculus better than Tangem, bros? Here's what I'm going to say. I personally believe the answer is yes. I'm sure you're going to find a plethora of people out there with different opinions. What I can tell you as a personal user of both, because I've had both of them, I have preferred my use of Arculus. Someone's in here saying there's probably more. There's certain coins maybe you can't get. I'll tell you this right now. I have a pretty wide variety of coins, and there's not a single coin I've ever tried to put in my Arculus wallet that wasn't offered there. So unless you're looking for maybe deep, crazy coins that very few people have ever heard of, Arculus is going to cover all of your coin choices and more. Let's see. Bitcoin will go to 8 million. Why is it down today? Well, if you're looking at that time horizon, don't worry about one-day charts. You need to be looking at nothing but probably 12-month charts. I don't know. What do you think, T-Shroom? Give me a date off the top of your head for $8 million Bitcoin. I think it's doable. That's going to be a little ways out. I think.
Probably 2060. I think 2060 we might be looking at it.
I think we do it before then. I think we could do it probably closer to 20. Let's see. I mean, not going to be. I think by 2030 we can hit 1 million.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a minute before we go from 1 to 8. So let's call it 20. Let's go 2045. Let's go 45. I think that's a reasonable expectation for Bitcoin to get to 8 million. Well, here's the other thing is if the dollar inflation rate increases and starts to speed up, then it could happen by 2030. But if we get a handle on that, and I think actually crypto can play a role in helping to slow down inflation in the long run, it's going to take some time.
This will take us down an emotional roller coaster here because this is a lot of sentiment that I think a lot of newer folks are feeling. I will be honest, says Redel Sosa. I am scared. I am still holding, but my portfolio is pure bloodbath since the past 2 weeks. Redel, you are not alone. There are many people that feel this way. If you are overinvested, if you have invested money you cannot afford to lose, you're in a pickle, and you need to figure it out. We're not going to help you do that, right? We are observers of the industry as a whole. You need to make your own financial decisions, right? But it's good, I would say, that if you are invested with money you can afford to lose, then holding is the right move here.
You know, there's this I don't know if it's a true story or not, but there's like a story to implicate when people lose hope, they can give up right at the worst time possible. And it's pretty much, it was a picture of these people they're digging a trench through a mountain to get to the other side, right? And it's taxing work, it's tiring, and they can't see on the other side of the rock. They're just digging, and this great implication right here. How many people get literally within a couple of inches from the end and get tired and give up? I think there's a lot of people. This is how the manipulation works, by the way, everybody. But there's a lot of people who are going to be like this guy on the bottom here with a great mustache, but unfortunately terrible hairline. they're going to get right to the end. They're going to hold for the longest they can. And then right at the moment that the bottom is actually going to come in and give them their profits back, they give up and they capitulate. Ultimately, that is the story as old as time when it comes to markets and how whales and institutions manipulate spaces. They are going to do everything they can to convince you that doom and gloom is coming. Let me tell you another reason why I think that we're a lot closer to the bottom than people think. If everyone right now was super confident, and I started the show off by telling you guys, I would be lying to you if even if I'm looking at charts and saying, guys, there's a feeling that we could go a lot lower. But I've learned to tune out my gut and my emotions and to think critically. If the overall space was optimistic and conservative and saying, guys, don't worry about it, just buy up the dip. The bottom's in. Nothing but upward from here. If that was the overall mood right now in crypto today, then I would be very hesitant to believe that the bottom was actually close. Why? Because when you think about manipulation, they don't manipulate price up and down willy-nilly. They manipulate price to crush your soul. When you're in the market, they want to suppress the price so far to where you despair and sell the very bottom. When you're bullish, they want you overwhelmingly bullish and thinking, man, I got to buy this level before it takes off without me, only for you to buy the top. The reason why I think we're a lot closer to the bottom, and right now, by the way, in case anyone's wondering, Bitcoin making a wrestle down towards 59,000. Again, earlier in the show, go back. I told you guys about levels here below us that still are in play. But my point here is that the fact that there's so much despair right now, the fact that the majority of the space is acting like we have a lot further to go to the downside and are contemplating selling their bags, to me says, hey guys, I think we're getting close to the bottom. Another thing that we didn't bring up earlier, I want people to be aware of, is this is the update of this. They fixed the website here, actually, from alternative.me. Last night, before the major dip, so we're talking about, if we go back over here, the price of Bitcoin was sitting at 63,100, and the fear and greed came in at 51. I told T-Shroom a little bit before we went live, I said I would not be surprised if what we actually need to see accomplished is probably get the fear and greed back down to about 40. You can see historically during bull markets, when we're going up and going down, going up and going down, we get to roughly about 40 and then start to take off for the second leg of the bull market. I would not be surprised to see 40 come into play. I can tell you right now, if price stays where it currently is, wrestling below 60, maybe staying above 59, but definitely below 60, I would not be surprised in the least to see this number tomorrow be closer, if not at 40 on the fear and greed index. And that historically could be the right time to say, you know what? We had our nice reversal. It's now time to look for that bottom to be in and move to the upside. But it does not happen when everyone's confident and holding. It happens because people are afraid and capitulating because their brain is saying sell at 60 so you can buy back in at 55 or you can buy back in at 49. Or I've heard some people talking about potentially could we come back down into the low 30s? Yeah, if I could predict that perfectly, of course I would sell right now so I could buy back in at pretty much double. I could buy too many Bitcoin as I had before, waiting for lower $30,000 levels. The problem is that's not how the markets work. They make you capitulate right here so that they can buy that dip and then price goes to the upside. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know anything 100%, but I'm telling you, the days of despair, the way the market feels today, oftentimes mark the bottoms of major pullbacks.
Yeah. Tim, hydrating, pumping iron, listening to the bros, hitting everything that's good for me, including the likes, I would imagine. That's Bowman. That's what Bowman said towards the top of the hour. We're now entering almost the end of the show, and we're showing images of cute puppies. Why? Well, it's because Eric Wallen celebrating 11 months of membership, and he said this. This was his 11-month comment. He said, get a low, no-fee solution and micro DCA every day. That's from Eric Wallen. Tim, do you agree with that, the micro DCA strategy?
Hey, I mean, I don't have a micro everyday DCA strategy, but I'm not complaining about one if people do have one. I'm kind of I told someone asked me today, they said, are you buying today? I said, no, I actually used all of my liquidity. I get another paycheck on Friday that there's a portion of that paycheck buying whatever the price is because we are down. My fear is we bounce before that. And I miss out on these $59,000 levels. But the point is, yes, absolutely have a DCA and walk away strategy, at least for part of your portfolio. You don't go wrong with that one. I want to do one more thing before we wrap up today's show. It's 4 o'clock here, so we're going to come out. But I want to go back to charts. Another thing I missed, because there was just so much to discuss here on Bitcoin. Look at what we have with volume. Look at what we have going on right here. I want to show you guys some things that have happened at volume spikes here recently. I'm on the 4-hour chart so you guys can see it. We're seeing a massive amount of volume come in right now, right? So big blue candle, massive volume. Look at recent massive volume spikes right here, right? So, for example, we had a big spike back here on June 17th. What was that? That was a top. That was a reversal. We actually had some great bullish momentum, reversed, and came back down. What about this spike right in here? Oh, another top here after a major bullish movement, topped and reversed. Ultimately, every single one of these major spikes in volume corresponds with a reversal in price. You even come back all the way back here to the big dip. Same amount of volume as we're kind of seeing right now when we reverse to 56K. A lot of times you will see volume spike as the charts look to bottom out. So I can't say with 100% certainty that means a reversal is coming, but I can tell you, watch as the volume increases on these bearish moves. You probably are getting into a spot where you're seeing, as I showed you earlier on the daily chart, a lot more buys coming in and people wanting to buy up this low dip. Why? Because these whales and long-term holders, they've been waiting on this ever since we've been at 72K. I think that there's a lot of people right now buying up this dip, and there's going to be a lot of people who don't listen to the Investing Bros, who don't watch channels just like this, who will capitulate and sell, bringing a massive amount of liquidity that goes right into the pockets of those whales, right into the pockets of those people like BlackRock. Why would BlackRock buy at 72K? They don't. They wait for the pullbacks. Why? Because when institutions miss the boat, they always bring the boat back. Where was the last major voyage from, T-Shroom? Right back here between 56 to 59K. They've brought the boat back once again. When institution misses the boat, that sucks. But this is simply just another big pullback because people like BlackRock, Fidelity, and several of their billionaire buddies are saying, hey, what? I missed the dip last time. Can you give me another opportunity? That's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
With that said, last thing I want to say here, I want to make sure you guys are aware of this. We're talking about opportunities a lot today. I want to make sure you guys are aware of a massive opportunity coming our way. Where is it? Did I get rid of it for some reason here? Give me a second here, T-Shirt. I got to pull up what we're going on. So July 4th, we are going to have a massive celebration July 4th and the week after. We're actually going to be live 9 a.m. on July 4th. But we're gonna start a week of challenge. I want to challenge all of you guys to be a part of this. T-Shroom and I are gonna be a part of this. I actually got some great feedback. Those of you guys who are fans of Stocks with Josh, he's gonna be partnering with us on this as well. But this is a ministry that T-Shroom and I chose when we started the channel, that we wanted to support this ministry called Life for the Innocent. I think the Arculus deal is kind of blocking the name right there. But Life for the Innocent is a organization that operates in India that helps save and rescue children from sex and organ trafficking. And for $1,400, I don't know if it's what the updated price is, but last I checked in, $1,400 saves the life of a child, meaning A, it purchases them from one of these horrendous slave operations. It puts them through, it puts them into a home so they can be taken care of, puts them through therapy, and makes sure to provide for a safe home to raise that child in a life of freedom. Guys, on July 4th, if you are in the United States, we are going to have a massive celebration. You guys are going to eat hot dogs and hamburgers, pizza. We're going to have fireworks celebrating the day that we have the right to be free and to make our own choices and go about our lives in a way that we have control. But right now, there's a lot of people. In fact, there's millions of little children who do not have that right. I want to challenge you guys for a whole week to trade with us here on Investing Bros, and every single dollar of profit that we get here from the bros, and I'm going to challenge you guys to do the same, we're going to donate and give to this ministry to go save the lives of millions of children. If you're not a trader, but you say, Tim, I just want to be a part of it, I want to give, we're going to have a wallet we'll be putting on the channel very, very soon. We're going to let you guys trace that wallet to make sure you guys know exactly where that money is going. But I urge every single one of you, please, 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 if you have been blessed by the world of crypto, if you've been blessed by this channel and you are looking for a way to give back, join us July 4th through July 11th as we have a trading challenge to raise as much money as possible to save millions of lives of children that have no freedom. With that said, though, we love every single last one of you guys. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. With that said, adios.
Tryna make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shouted out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividends. Tryna make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.
Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros.